The Xbox Series X is finally here, and in terms of raw specs, it's the most powerful gaming console ever made. But now that we have our hands on the console, how does it work in real life? I'm Marshall Honorath, editor from Tom's Guide, and we're going to find out. Join us as we take you through the design, interface, and games of the Xbox Series X. The Xbox Series X is a plain black box, somewhat like a small tower PC, or as some meme makers online have pointed out, a refrigerator. It's got vents all over the place, including some large circles with tasteful green accents at the top. On the front of the Xbox Series X, there's a power button, a disc slot, a pairing button, and a USB port. On the back of the Xbox Series X, you'll find two USB ports, an Ethernet port, a storage expansion port, and an HDMI port. There's a power port too, of course. There are rubber feet on both the bottom and the side, depending on whether you want to orient the system vertically or horizontally. The only real drawback here is that the console has no USB-C ports. This makes it difficult to use with some newer accessories. From an interface perspective, the Xbox Series X is identical to the Xbox One. You'll still have a home screen with your most recent activities, as well as more detailed menus for your full library. You can still access games, music, media, settings. You know the drill. It's no better than the Xbox One's interface, but it's no worse. The big difference here is Quick Resume, which lets you suspend a number of different titles, then resume each one almost instantaneously. This is a helpful feature if you like jumping among multiple games, although it's less helpful if you stick to one game at a time. In terms of hardware, the Xbox Series X is the most powerful home console ever made, offering an 8-core 3.6 GHz processor, 16 GB of RAM, a 1 TB SSD, and, of course, a custom RDNA 2 GPU, capable of up to 12 teraflops of output. In theory, this means fast, fluid, gorgeous games. It's a big step up from the Xbox One, and a moderate step up from the Xbox One X. One of the Xbox Series X's standout features is its extensive backwards compatibility. With the exception of Kinect titles, every single game that worked on the Xbox One will work on the Xbox Series X. That means that the Xbox Series X can play just about any Xbox One game, as well as a fair number of titles from both the Xbox 360 and the original Xbox. Additionally, your old games will look and play better than ever before. Loading times on Xbox One games have been slashed to mere seconds, particularly on titles optimized for the Xbox Series X, like Gears 5 and Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Whereas the PS5's DualSense controller attempted to reinvent the wheel, the Xbox Series X's controller is nearly identical to the Xbox One's. There are now textured grips in the back, as well as an improved D-pad, more comfortable analog sticks, and a share button dead center. But it's very much an incremental step. That's fine since the Xbox One controller was a thing of beauty. But the Xbox Series X controller also missed a huge opportunity, namely to incorporate a rechargeable battery. The controller still expects you to either swap out AA batteries every so often or buy expensive rechargeable packs, a practice that feels downright archaic today. If the Xbox Series X has a serious drawback, it's that it has no unique software at launch. Every single game you can play here, you can play on the Xbox One, PC, or even the PS4. In fact, of the 30 optimized for Xbox Series X games that Microsoft recommends, only a handful are brand new titles. The rest are fare you've probably played on previous consoles, from the Shark PG Maneater to the open-world racer Forza Horizon 4. As time passes, we'll get some exciting exclusives, such as Halo Infinite and Avowed. But it's hard to shake the feeling that the Xbox Series X hardware launched before there was software that absolutely needed its power. Where the Xbox Series X excels, though, is through Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, which gives you access to more than 100 downloadable games on Xbox Series X, Xbox Series S, Xbox One, and PC for one flat monthly fee. You can even stream many of these titles directly to Android phones and tablets. All your save data carries over regardless of platform, and all first-party Microsoft titles are included. It's a brilliant service, and no other gaming subscription comes close. From hardware and performance perspectives, the Xbox Series X is a thing of beauty. It's gorgeously designed and delightfully simple to use. But while there are a ton of beautiful games to play, there aren't any experiences that absolutely require an Xbox Series X. At least not yet. For console gamers who want the latest and greatest tech, the Xbox Series X delivers. But the more interesting question is, what could it deliver in the future?